everybody, I am Husky Light. I hope you're all really well. This is part 3 of the hero's journey, sort of little mini series that I'm going through at the moment. And in a moment I'll put up the photo, the screenshot of one of the depictions of the hero's journey, so you can sort of see where I'm up to with it, and hopefully you can see where you're up to in your spiritual journey by going through all of this as well. So in the last one I went through some of the dark stuff that I had to go through, which was not even half of it, but it just would have been going on for hours otherwise. So somebody's just posted something through my door, and that's Puppy. Wow, she's turning into a little guard dog. Just bear with me a minute. Apologies about that, puppy emergency. If you hear little bangs in the background, I think it was on my angel cards last week. Someone said, "What's that banging?" It's Luna playing with either one of my son's trainers or anything that she can get hold of at the moment. She's banging and chasing around the room. So anyway, let me get my picture. So I'm going to put the picture up in a minute, and we're going to go through the good, the good woo stuff this time around, not the dark stuff. I'm going to go through, when you look at the picture, it's now the sort of adventure part of it. There's still dark stuff going on, or there was, and obviously I still come across challenges, and I still have things that I go through, you know, on a day-to-day basis. That's never going to completely just fall away and fall out of your life. But once you get past the calling that comes through, the night of the dark soul, the resistance where you're kicking and screaming and you're just like, oh, I can't deal with this is not happening, facing your fears and overcoming your fears, which is what I sort of went through in the last one. We then come on to commitment, new conditions, deep changes, death, and the new life that you're coming into. So that's sort of what I'm going to go through today. So let me put the picture up, and I'll go through each part. It's very well set out in the depiction, so you can sort of follow through. I'll throw in some of my good woo-woo stuff to give you an example of how it can be, but it's different for everybody, and you will all go through it in a different way. But this is how I came to learn sort of about my guides and angels, and how they were coming in and helping, and also, you know, during the dark stuff as well. They were there. They were just waiting for me to realise and sort of get in touch and ask for help there. So I will put the picture in and we'll make a start on it. Okay, so now we're sort of looking at the adventure part of it. Commitment and everything being made new, the new conditions, the deep change, the death, the new life. At this point, and just before, when you're overcoming your fears, they all sort of blur a little bit at the lines, and they may even come in a slightly different order for you. But the story is basically the same. So sort of overlapping, overcoming fears and everything. I said in my last video that I kept reaching out for help from people, and I just couldn't get it from anywhere. I'd be sending emails off, and I'd never get a reply, or I'd try and click on a certain website or a YouTube video that I thought, this makes sense, maybe this can help me, but my computer would go down, or I wouldn't be able to get into it. I was very much put in solitary for quite a while. Eventually the help starts coming in. I think the first bit of help that I had was actually, if you ever watch Nico Scarlet Moon, it was a friend of his who lives over here in the UK, and I'd sent him an email. and he actually emailed me back, and I was like, oh my God, he's emailed me back, thank goodness for that. And I had a couple of sessions with him and explained to him that everything I thought of was happening. And this was the strange bit, actually. As I was becoming more and more aware of things, I had sort of time lapses when I started watching tarot card messages on YouTube, or started watching things, and it started with Scarlet Moon, actually, bless him. I would watch his Libra for the month or something, and the message would be, it was like he was talking to me, like direct. And I know that you have it as well when I do readings on YouTube. I will get comments like, you were speaking directly to me. It was 100% for me. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was the same sort of thing with me, except there was a time lapse with me. So I'd go through an experience or feelings, emotions, whatever part of my life, and then the following month I'd watch Scarlet Moon, and he'd tell me exactly what had just happened the month before, and I'd be like, how's that happening? Why is that happening? I couldn't figure it out at all. And I thought, and I got back into the stage of, oh my God, somebody's spying on me, somebody's listening to everyone I said, somebody's playing a really cruel joke on me, stalking me, whatever. And as this went on, the time between this inner knowing and these experiences and everything, and then me actually watching something or finding out about it, the time in between became less and less. So it got to 3 weeks, and then 2 weeks, and then a week. And I go, I've just done that. I've just said that. And then it became pretty much immediate, within 24 hours, which is what happens now in my life. It will be, I'll do something or say something, and then within 24 hours it will repeat itself. So at this point, and there's examples of that, I remember cutting the hedge the year before last. Cutting the hedge, quite going about my normal daily, trying to be normal at that point, but probably not succeeding. And I cut straight through the wire of the hedge cutter. So I thought, oh, bloody hell, that was really stupid of me. Came in, fixed it, retaped it, rewired it back together again, went back out to cut the hedge, and I thought to myself, that was the most stupid thing to do. I must never do that again. Immediately I thought that, I cut through it again. I did it again. Other examples of that, I had one of my tyres burst on my car, and I was telling my twin flame about it. I said, bloody tyres burst on my car, I can't believe it's done that. Within 24 hours of me saying that and talking about it, another tyre on my car burst. Then I noticed the electrics in my car playing up, and if I spoke about it out loud, it would then happen, and it would make it worse. And I'd be like, oh, this is crazy, and it took me a while to sort of catch on. But anyway, Scarlet Moon's friend came in, he finally emailed me back, tried to tell him what was going on, and he taught me or gave me advice on how to just be in the moment, not worry about what's about to happen, not think about the past or what's just happened, but just be in the moment. And his words were basically, if something is happening, if you are having major bad synchronicities that are scaring you, just ground yourself within that moment and just take a few deep breaths and just think, do you know what? In this moment, in this exact moment, I am safe. I am safe from harm. I am secure. Nobody is harming me. Whatever is happening now to me cannot touch me physically. Excuse me. So I actually wrote that down. And every time anything happened, I would look at that piece of paper and take some deep breaths and sort of think, right, I'm in the moment. This is okay. This is fine. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And it really, really helps. That's a little bit of advice for you out there if you're going through something like that. is maybe just have a little note with you and look at it and go, I'm in the moment, I'm safe, I'm protected. So that helped. I also learned about transmuting my fears and my doubts as well when something was happening that I didn't like, that was scaring me, because it was all so new to me. All of the paranormal side of things happening to me was so new to me, so strong and in your face sort of thing. Of course it was scary at times, so I had to ground myself through that. So through all of that, the time lapse is getting shorter and shorter between me doing something and then it happening. As I say, with the hedge cutter, it was absolutely immediate. With other things, it was within 24 hours or within two days, I'd hear about it or see it again and just repeat. And I began to learn through a lot of research, through being guided to certain YouTube videos, being guided to people that could help me, that it was okay. I was connecting up to the universal consciousness. I was getting in touch with my guides and angels. I was going through this spiritual journey. I was awakening. And I was now having to learn new things, new ways of being. I had to drop my ego, which was part of facing my fears, or drop it as much. You can never drop it fully, but you can drop it as much as you possibly can. Forgive yourself. Forgive others around you. Move away from people that are not serving you, jobs that are not serving you, relationships that are not serving you, habits as well, things like that. Last year I think we had 4 blood moons, which were very, very powerful, that I felt very, very much. I think there was one the year before as well, in 2014. And when they happened, I would get up the following morning and I couldn't touch meat. The thought of meat would make me feel sick, or the thought of smoking another cigarette would make me feel sick. The thought of having another drink would make me feel sick. Dairy products, and I would just wake up one morning round about the blood moon or a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse and go, right, I can't do it anymore, that's it. Done. I'm not eating meat anymore. I'm not doing dairy products anymore. Now, that as well is a very slow process. Dairy, I have cut out. I don't do dairy. Very occasionally, I'll have a bit of cheese on pizza, but it's pretty much cut out. Smoking, I'm having a problem with, I admit. Eating meat, I don't eat meat anymore. That's done with. It's all a long process, and sometimes you will slip back again, but as long as you are aware of what you're doing, as long as you can sort of get back on the horse again and go, right, okay, and just keep trying. Remember, you have a lifetime, however old you are, and I've got a big lifetime behind me, of certain habits, certain ways of thinking, certain ways of doing things that you have to work through and change. And it can be a long job, but as long as you're working on it, you will get there in the end. So this is sort of the point of everything started to be new to me, everything, and having to make a commitment and realising that I'm a twin flame, realising I'm on a spiritual journey, realising I'm awakening, and making a commitment to stay on that path and go down that path and not go particularly back to sleep, because I'd seen the power of spiritual things and guides and angels and how they are in your life and how they can help you. And once I'd realised that, my spiritual path became more important and is more important than almost anything else. Nothing can really sway me or could sway me from a spiritual path now, once you are on it. And really, once you're awake, you can't go back to sleep again. So I was going through all of this. I don't know if I still had the cake business at that point. It was pretty much over with. And I'd also started doing readings on YouTube, I think. at that point, and incidents with the car, which no, they were a bit dark woo woo, but I was beginning to realise that my thoughts created reality. I was beginning to realise that something definite was going on here. I was in bits about splitting up with my twin flame and that, and I remember I used to get in the car and I'd still have to deliver wedding cakes to people, you know, the happiest day of their life, and I'm in bits, going through all of this, and every time I got in the car I'd be crying all the way to deliver a wedding cake to somebody, and every single song that came on the radio would be the saddest song you've ever heard, the saddest, which would just make me cry even harder. I'm surprised how I made it to weddings sometimes, because I could probably hardly see a thing while I was driving. I was crying that hard. But these songs, and then I began to notice throughout all of this, and all of this is sort of, say the lines blur a little bit, but things start to get better. I began to notice that if I got in the car to go somewhere and I was in a good mood, or at least, you know, not down on the floor somewhere, happy songs would be on the radio. Happy things were playing on the radio. And the more happy I got, the happier the songs were on the radio. It was as if the radio station was playing songs that were just associated with whatever mood I was in at the time. I caught on to this one quite quickly with this, and I started deliberately making sure and trying to keep my mood up, trying to be happy. So if I felt myself dropping down, I would go and put a happy song on, or I would do something that was good for me, that was nurturing for me. So this is sort of about the pattern recognition and the change, realising and learning the new angel language, learning what you create becomes reality, your thoughts. So this pattern recognition, I started to recognise it. I recognised cycles that I'd gone through in my life, patterns that I'd gone through. I started to recognise them. I started to recognise things that just happened on a yearly basis, that was the same in a loop, and the need to actually change that and get back to whatever the core me is, to get rid of the self-sabotage and the limiting beliefs that you can say in the deep change. So these deep changes were starting to come around, and again it took quite, you know, several, and I'm still working on some of them, and I always will be probably. This is a spiritual journey which doesn't really end. So these deep changes were coming about that I was working on. I had help coming in. I could finally get into websites that I could read and research that would help me. My YouTube channel, not my YouTube channel, my YouTube. Usually, I think I said this in the last one, but usually where you'll get a recommended video for you, I would get a recommended video 1 second ago, or 5 minutes ago, or 2 minutes ago, constantly. And it was like, look at it now, look at it now, look at it now. I was like, oh my God. But it helped, and it helped. And I started transmuting my fears and my doubts about things. I learnt about twin flames. I began to be more aware of that, what it meant. Started finding videos on twin flames and the journey and the spiritual journey, and started to change over time and bring myself up. Also, I think at this point I'd found Abraham Hicks, and I'd started listening to her, The Secret, which was based on The Secret, and again learning that what you think about, what you speak about, how you are with other people attracts everything to you. So I was really getting into this, especially if I was feeling down. I would go onto YouTube and I just happened to be able to find the right video that went with the question that I was asking myself. How do I deal with other people, or how do I deal with arguments, or how do I deal with money? And it always seemed to be the right one would pop up for me, and it was the right one for me at the time. So I was listening to Abraham Hicks and The Secret, Then I started listening to Cryon, who is channeled by Lee Carroll. Now, when I first started listening to Cryon, I think it was the Christmas 2 years ago, Christmas Day, making Christmas dinner, listening to Cryon, thinking, oh, he's got a lovely voice and he's talking about being at one with everybody and we're old souls, and we don't realise how loved we are and how protected we are. And it was lovely listening to him, and he was so inspirational and uplifting to me. And I'm listening away to him, and what I hadn't quite got was the fact he was channeling. And then and it was Christmas Day, so about 2 years ago. I'm listening, and it suddenly dawned on me. I had my flash of inspiration. I had my download that he was channeling, that Cryon was actually an entity from somewhere else, from somewhere in the universe. And I completely freaked out. Completely. I thought, oh my God, I am listening to somebody who is channeling an ET, an entity. And I did it. But it was a download, it was a realization, it was an expansion, a complete spiritual expansion. And every time you go through one of these spiritual expansions, you seem to have a download, and then you need time to integrate the information that you're getting and understand it and realize just how big this universe is. It's infinite consciousness. So I realized that, and it took me a couple of days to sort of accept that I was listening to an entity, a benevolent ET from somewhere else, advising me on how to live life and how to be and where we came from, teaching me that history. But once I'd integrated that, then obviously you go through spiritual levels, and we all wake up in a different way. Some of you may wake up starting with the political strife and that we have in this world, the political corruption that we have in this world. You might start by doing that. I didn't start with that. I started with Twin Flames from the outset, pretty much. Then once you have integrated that and learnt that, then you will move on to another section. You may then start to learn how bad the pharmaceutical industry is, and how we're slowly being killed by certain pills and medications and radiation and things like that. And you go through that learning complex. You learn, you integrate. You will go through ascension symptoms then. At that point, usually, where because you are integrating it and because you are rising to a new level and you are ascending, you may then come down with ascension symptoms, and there's just loads and loads and loads of them to go through. And I've done videos on ascension symptoms before, which you can find on my channel, but you will go through them. And then you'll calm, and then you'll go through a quiet period, and then you will learn again. And it's all a learning process. And every time you learn something, your consciousness is expanding. So I went through that. I learned about very much how planetary interaction has an effect on us, how the moon has an effect on us. And all the time I'm growing and spiritually growing, becoming closer and closer to my guides and angels, who at this point are pretty much there all the time. But then it was this learning to trust my guides and angels, learning to have complete faith in the universe. Now, when I finally lost and gave up the wedding cake business, I had bills coming out of my ears. I had debt collectors knocking on the door, all sorts of, it was a mess. It was just a complete mess. I'd had a complete breakdown, basically. That was it. I couldn't go on with it anymore. I didn't want to. I'd learnt that sugar was poisonous. I didn't know what was going on with me from one day to the next, because I was integrating and on this journey. And I started to learn through Abraham Hicks through Cryon, through all the help that I was getting about my thoughts and that. And I started to think, please help me with previous debts. Please help me get out of this. Please help my YouTube channel grow. Please help me to overcome these challenges that are coming through to me. And my guides and angels, they stepped in and they did help. And they do help now. You know, if I am ever, I've said this before, if I am ever low on money, I need help with money, I simply ask them, and within a couple of days I will get a reading through, or I will get some help through, or I will go and find that spare tenner that was hiding in the bottom of my handbag that I didn't know I had, and that help comes through. Now I asked for help with past debts. Now they're not all sorted out, but a couple of them came through quite strong that was sorted out. I was paying off quite a big debt which I didn't actually owe. It was an argument with an old landlord. I used to pay him in cash for my rent, and never got a receipt for it. How stupid is that? But that's what happened, and then he decided that I'd never paid him at all. So I ended up going through the courts and having to pay him. I couldn't afford to pay him much every month. I'd already moved and I now wasn't working. So I think I said, and I didn't want to pay either because I knew that I'd already paid him. I said, I'll give you £5 a month or something. But the court costs and everything had mounted up, and it was thousands by the time he'd finished with me. And I was paying it every month, and I asked for help from my guides and angels to help me with past debts. And I got a letter through from the courts saying, we're dropping it. It's not happening anymore. You don't have to pay us £5 a month anymore, because what you're paying isn't even covering their what they need to cover their costs as well. So it was dropped, it was done with. I had another one where debt collector knocked on the door. I think it was an advertising company or something, and that I owed some money to. And again, they'd walked all over me. I'd got free advertising with them, and I'd quite happily said yes to that. And then they started charging me, but I didn't want any more. But they'd already charged. So I had a debt collector now, and I explained the situation to him. I said, I can't afford to pay anymore and pay this. And he literally he just says, do you know what? He says, I'm going to go back to the court, tell them that you've not even been in the house to see if I had anything. He said, I'm just going to go back to the court, tell the advertising company that you've got nothing that we can take anyway, and hopefully they should drop it, which they did. So again, that I was getting help where I really needed it in order to be able to carry on and be able to start to help others as well, because this is part of the process, realising that you are not self-serving, you are service to others, and always will be. And this is the new paradigm, this is the new shift that is coming in, working from your heart core center instead of from your lower chakra, from your gut instinct. You're going from your heart to help others. So I'm going through the new conditions, the deep change, making a commitment to my spiritual journey. During that, obviously, facing old temptations that come up, old people in your life coming back into your life, alcohol coming back into your life, and trying to get over that again. Whatever the temptation is for you, it will be brought up again until you learn the lesson from it, and at that point it dissipates, it disappears, it doesn't come back again. Learning to forgive people from my past, learning to forgive myself as well. So all of this, and as I say, you go through it in different ways. So I had to deal internally with these issues, get rid of programming, deal with stuff from childhood, but all the time there was fun stuff coming through. Bank charges at the bank. I remember phoning up the bank and saying, if you charge me this, I can't pay it, I'm going to have to close the account. And they were like, well, we're going to freeze the account anyway. You're going to have to fill out a load of forms. You're going to have to decide how much you're going to pay every month. And I was on the phone with this woman, and she was horrible. She really was horrible. She was adamant. They weren't going to let me off. This was awful. And she says, right, she says, you can hold on while I go and get the forms. We'll get the forms filled out, we'll freeze your account and everything else. And all the time I'm on the phone thinking to myself, please get me through this, please help me, please help me, please help me. And she came back on the phone and she said, I've just had a word with the manager, and don't worry about it. We're refunding all the charges to you that we've made to you. You don't have to fill out any paperwork. We're not freezing your account. We're putting it back, and we're putting it back right. And there was no way before she went, I was put on hold, she was going to do that at all. I don't know what happened, but my guides and angels obviously had an awful lot to do with that, and I was on absolute cloud nine after that. But every time something like that happens, it renews and makes your faith in the universe even stronger, to know that you're not alone, that you are loved, that you are being looked after. And that if you look through my old videos, there is a lot of examples of this and things that I've been through, and I can't go through them all in one video. There's just too much. It happens on a day-to-day basis. So there's a lot of videos, earlier videos that I've got. If you look through my archives, if you look back a couple of years, you will see them, where I've gone through something and come on YouTube and told you about it and explained what's happened and how amazing and fantastic it was. I've spoken before about getting proof that I'm a twin flame, getting them to show me, help me, when I was going through dark periods on the twin flame journey, sort of. And every single time I asked for proof, I got it. Every single time. I'll go through a couple of them with you. I think the first time I asked, I said, look, if I'm a twin flame, show me a white rabbit. And within an hour of me asking, I think I got an email or a YouTube video or something that popped up, and the picture was a white stuffed rabbit. So I was like, cool, that's really good. Went out shopping, went to my local supermarket. It wasn't Easter, by the way. And as I walked into my local supermarket, the staff were all dressed up that worked there, and one of the staff, who was stood right at the doorway, was dressed up as a white rabbit. They had pink ears, but it was a white rabbit, and I was in absolute awe. I was just shocked and stunned to the core. I was like, oh, okay, my twin flame really is my twin flame. I've not got it wrong. I'm on the right path. I know what I'm doing. And then in times of doubt, when you know that 3D bit where they're not talking to you and they can't stand you, and there's resistance and there's pushing and pulling, and you've not surrendered yet, and all the rest of it. There was another time, I think this was last year, this was around Christmas time as well. If it's my twin flame, can you show me an orange? We didn't have any oranges in the house. Later on that day, I walked into my hall. There was an orange, a physical orange, sat on my stairs, and we didn't have any. And my daughter hadn't had one. She hadn't brought it downstairs. I went through it all with everybody. Have you put an orange on the stairs? No. There was a physical orange sat on the stairs. I was like, okay then, that's good enough for me. That's fine. Another time, probably a few months later, I said, look, how long is this going to take? When is it going to happen? How far am I on this twin flame journey? Have things changed? Is he not my twin flame? What's happening? Can you show me some balloons? I said, I don't care what colour the balloon is. It could be a multitude of colours. I don't care. I just show me a balloon. Anyway, within a couple of hours, my daughter came in and she says, Mum, I need to go to the shop later. I need you to buy me some balloons. And I just stared at her. I was like, whoa, why? Oh, I'm doing some project for school. I need to get some balloons. Okay. What colour balloons do you need? What colour balloons do you need? She says, I just want all colours. All colours. So we went to the card shop to get the balloons, and as I walked into the shop, there was a multitude of helium balloons hanging up in the shop, all different myriad of colours. And again, it was like, whoa, okay, that's good. Thank you. Thank you, guides and angels. And then the last one, which only happened, 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago, I asked if I could see a kangaroo. And at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, let's see how good you really are. Kangaroo, where am I going to see a kangaroo? Don't know. I want something to do with a kangaroo. And anyway, the next day, my son came down to me and he said, and I don't listen, as you know, I don't listen to news, I don't watch TV or anything like that. The Olympics were on, I've just been on, and he came down and decided to tell me the story about the fact that a couple of the Australian athletes had been robbed out in Rio, and the Australian Prime Minister had got in touch with them and said that she was going to erect a kangaroo in their honour somewhere there. So that was my answer to that one. And so it goes, and this is on a day-to-day basis, along with seeing numbers and everything else. So it is about finding yourself, really knowing that your thoughts make a difference. And so if you're thinking of world peace, no more killing, corrupt governments that we want to get rid of, moving away from pharmaceuticals, improving yourself, all of this goes up into the collective consciousness and makes such a huge difference. So you're not only making and improving yourself and making a difference in your own life, but your thoughts going up there collectively can and will change the world as well, change the way the rest of us think, change the way the collective consciousness, whichever direction the collective consciousness is thinking, whatever the main direction of where it's going in, that is the way that the collective that is what we will create in the world. So for example, if we are all thinking that World War III is about to break out, it could very well possibly do that. If we are all thinking that we are going to, I think we are going to go through bumps, as I've said before, in order to get to peace. But if we are constantly thinking we are going to get to peace, we are going to get to a new way of living where people don't have to suffer or be in pain, where things can really change, where we can get free energy, where we can learn to live in a different way as one, not in a new world order as one way, but in the golden age, in the new age that is coming around, then that is what will happen, because the majority of the collective consciousness is thinking that way. Forgiveness, love of yourself, love of others, self-service to others, being part of the community, being able to help others in whatever way you can. That is the way, thinking from the heart centre, that is what we are going to create. So I'm going to leave it there. I'll bring up me on the camera. So hopefully, that'll help. That'll help you see where you're up to, what you're going through, and everything else. I think there's one more section left to go, which is sort of return as well. But when the student is ready, the master appears. And that's a really good saying. Your guides and angels step in, and it's not about seeing is believing, it really is believing is seeing, and every day having more and more faith in the universe and how your guides, your angels, your higher self, your higher twin flame, everything, they help you. They're there for you, and we are not this little insignificant. We are insignificant in the grand scheme of things in the universe, but we are all part of something so much bigger than we could ever imagine. And we won't get all the answers that we want in this lifetime. It'll probably take for us to die and get rid of this physical vessel to be able to know the answers to everything. But you're not on your own. You're not alone in any way, shape or form. So, right, I'm going to get off. I hope that helps, me prattling on. If you want a private reading from me, click up on the link in the corner. And any counselling sessions by Skype, healing and clearing sessions, you need to email me for that at info@huskylight.com. I think once I've finished this, I've only got one bit really left to do. Then I'm going to go through all the spiritual laws again, which I did right at the beginning when I first started, but it's something that I do want to go through again with you, so that we've got, and I'll put it all into one video so we've got a good one. But yeah, you just life is amazing. Life can be amazing. You can turn your life around. You can change things within your life. You just have to have enough faith within yourself and know that you've got help as well. Okay, right, namaste, blessings and light, and I will speak to you soon. All right, bye.